Salutations, future Twig. Past Twig here once again for our card callout for everyone. Today we're looking at Sangromancer, 4 mana and it's a 3/3 vampire shaman creature with flying, and with two kind of sub abilities, which is 1, whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, you may gain 3 life, and whenever an opponent discards a card, you may also gain 3 life. And so there's obviously, when you're dealing with black, there's a lot of like life loss effects, but there's not as many life gain effects, and so this is very powerful, especially with certain Orzhov commanders, and so on and so forth. But before we get into the synergies, let's look at the price. This card's a bit more on the expensive side. It's looking at about 77 cents for the cheapest version of it. And then if you look at its use rate, you're looking at about 61,000 decks roughly, or about 2% of all decks, so definitely a more popular card. But I still wanted to bring attention to this one, because there's a bunch of different commanders that can make use of this, such as Turgid, God of Fright. So this commander here is obviously very popular. I think it's like a $15 commander, but I wanted to highlight it. Because of the way Turgid works, you want opponents to be sacrificing non-token permanents, such as creatures, or discarding permanent cards, and then of course, obviously, with Turgid out, you want to recur those cards. So Sangromancer just offers you a way to sustain yourself, especially with a Turgid deck. You're likely to be the source and kind of the arch enemy of the table, because Turgid's a very hated commander. So having an ability to gain life to keep yourself healthy is very important, especially when you're in a mono black deck where there's a lot of your card draw tends to make you lose life as well. Moving on and talking more about life loss, we have Lorcan Warlock Collector. Personally, one of my first ever card... Actually, this was, I believe, one of the first ever card callouts I ever did way back when I was doing YouTube Shorts, where just because of this guy's ability, which is that he is a flyer, that whenever a creature card is put into an opponent's graveyard, so again, you get that creature card in the opponent's graveyard trigger, from anywhere, you may pay life equal to its mana value. If you do, put that onto the battlefield under your control. It is a Warlock in addition to its other types, and whenever a Warlock you control would die, exile it instead. So obviously with this guy, you can, especially some of the higher mana value creatures out there, you know, you lose if you reoccur a 5 mana value creature, you're losing 5 life. So having Sangromancer out to help mitigate that effect is beneficial, because with Sangromancer out, as you notice, his first ability says, whenever a creature card is put into a graveyard from anywhere. So if you are using targeted discard, like, I don't know, Thoughtseize, and forcing people to put their creature cards into their graveyards, you get life then, and then you can also get life whenever you're killing off creatures in a mono black deck, which is very common, and then you can use that life to then reoccur those creatures for extra value. So lots of possible synergies with Lorcan. And last but not least is Tiny Bones Trinket Thief. Again, lots of discard synergy going on here, and of course, whenever you're discard synergy, you also have a lot of drawing card and losing life. So Sangromancer helps you to avoid the negative effect of losing life when you're drawing cards using Tiny Bones, and also it's going to consistently gain you life because you're going to be discarding cards, because that's what Tiny Bone kind of benefits from, especially with his second ability where each opponent with no cards in hand loses 10 life. So I highlighted some mono black commanders, and of course there's a ton of Orzhov commanders out there that deal with life gain shenanigans when you involve the white color, because white is all about life gain. So there's a ton of synergies where you want to be gaining life. So I think Sangromancer is a very powerful and very versatile card for a lot of different kinds of decks. And that is actually all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for tuning into this card call, and have a wonderful day. Take care.